underqualified blacks are taking Asians and white people's places in universities across the country. True or false?
True.
So black people make up 13% of the American population. Why do they commit 55% of all the murders?
To me personally, I think that's mainly to do with culture. That was the first time I disagreed with Charlie Kirk in this video.
Percentage of blacks have a father around when they're raised?
I'm not sure.
20%.
He's right about that. I'm not gonna lie. He's completely right about that. What is going on, guys? I hope you're having an amazing day. Today, we're going to be looking at a video by Charlie Kirk. This video is titled, College Girl Says ID Cards Are Racist and Affirmative Action is Great. Without further ado, let's just get right into this.
So let me ask you a question. So in the CRT literature, what do they think of white people or whiteness?
Who would you like me to quote?
Kimberly Crenshaw.
I haven't read Kimberly Crenshaw.
She says that
yet.
whiteness is a cancer or a toxin on our society.
The concept of whiteness, the racial concept of whiteness.
Okay, so what is whiteness?
That's strange that even she defends that. I'm not going to lie to you guys. White people created America, right? Well, not created like the Americas, but created the United States of America. They actually formed the alliance and all of that stuff, right? They got their independence from the British and all of that. So that was indeed European people that actually did that. So regardless of what you say, you can't say that they are a toxin to society when they created the society itself. But let's keep going.
What is whiteness?
Yeah, define it.
As Kimberly Crenshaw would probably say, the sort of construction of privilege that comes with being white in this country.
Right. So what privilege do you and I as white people have that black people don't have?
Yeah, great question. On applications that are blindly judged, white-sounding names are often given the job more, they're paid more.
Not true. In fact, it's the opposite.
I don't even know if that's true. But I will say this, right? We have to be fair on both sides. You know, me personally, I consider myself socially conservative and all of that stuff. But let's say this, right? For example, like white privilege in general does not really exist. But there are certain privileges that white people have, but also other people have too. Black people have them, Asian people have them, everybody have their certain privileges, right? And for white people, they just happen to be the majority of people in this country. So as a white person, you probably relate to the majority of people in this country because you are white. You know what I mean? And when I say relate, I mean just, you know, more, you share more of a bond, just, you know, based off of skin color. Let's be honest. Everybody is tribalistic. But all right, let's keep going.
Black privilege right now. It's called affirmative action, where underqualified blacks are taking Asians and white people's places in universities across the country. True or false?
True.
True.
Okay, so yeah.
Now, nobody can get mad about that. That is a fact. Let's keep going.
There's black privilege, not white privilege
I
in this
actually
country.
don't think affirmative action is how we address education inequality.
True.
Okay, well that affirmative action is still largely supported by the CRT regime. But let's get back to CRT, to the essence of it.
Sure.
CRT believes in one manifestation of its ideology is black-only dormitories. So white people are not allowed. Do you believe in black-only dormitories?
No, and I don't have to agree
Okay.
with
No,
every
you're
aspect
being
of an
fair.
ideology
Fine.
to argue for.
Yeah, black-only dormitories are stupid. But it is one thing on the right that I see a lot, where they say diversity is not welcomed, or not even that it's not welcome, but it shouldn't be the main factor. I do think diversity is a very important thing. We should have white, black, Asian, Mexican people, everybody, just so we can have a different exchange of cultures, ideas, and everything like that. But yeah, I don't think a black only dormitory is great, but you know, HBCUs exist and all of that stuff, so who knows?
For it.
So then what part of CRT do you like? Because they call whiteness a toxin, black-only dormitories, and if you want to talk about like ideological or intellectual sloppiness, the 1619 Project was...
I think it's very sloppy.
Okay, we agree. Nicole,
I don't know
I
what
think
that
it's
is.
overstated, and
What is that?
I think some of the
You're
parts
being
are
fair.
inaccurate.
Okay, good.
The parts of CRT that I think are most relevant and, you know, very factually, you can, you know, what am I trying to say? There's a lot of evidence for them, is the fact that previous inequalities, such as the institution of slavery, such as our treatment of Native Americans, do in fact affect those populations today. And you were saying before, in, you know, inner cities, there's a lot more crime, and a lot of that is because of redlining and other like practices that come directly from the mistreatment of minorities previously in this country.
So I want to make sure I understand. So black people make up 13% of the American population.
Oh, 1350, my favorite.
Yes, exactly. Why do they commit 55% of all the murders?
Super great question. It's basically a very complex intersection of race and economic status. It's pretty well.
To me personally, I think that's mainly to do with culture. The culture around surrounding black people nowadays is not great, and it also is a socioeconomic problem. We got to be honest with that, right? It's socioeconomic and it's a culture. I think it's both of those things mixed together. me personally. And honestly, I think that the socioeconomic status creates the culture that permeates within the black community. But let's keep going.
Well known that minority people tend to be in a lower economic status because of discrimination that
So
they
then
face.
why
I agree
don't
with that.
poor Asians commit a lot of murders?
Also, great question. Asian people weren't originally brought to America on purpose like black people here, like natives.
Wait,
I'm
so
not
so
finished,
wait,
please.
so blacks murder because they were brought here 250 years
No,
ago?
I would like to finish.
Okay, just answer. It's very simple.
No,
Black.
stupid.
I am answering.
No, I know, but you're not really. You're
I
kind
am.
okay.
Asian Americans predominantly immigrate here for work reasons. They come from already wealthy countries. They're already wealthy when they get here. Crime is committed primarily
First
by
of all,
That's not true. That is definitely not true.
that's not
people.
true. Talk to anybody from Who's Vietnamese? Anybody? Did your family come here wealthy?
No.
Yes
Not
and no.
wealthy,
Okay.
He
but
said
not-
yes.
I'm
Yes
not
or
saying
no?
they come
No.
here. Okay.
The
I'm-
average Vietnamese does not come here wealthy.
I'm not okay. I perhaps misspoke. Not wealthy, but a lot of the, you complain about it all the time. A lot of the immigration from countries that border us, right? It's sort of desperate people who are of a lower economic status, right? And they're coming here for a better life.
So two things. Number one, there's been more blacks that have legally immigrated to this country in the last 30 years than were ever brought as slaves. That's number one. Number
Okay.
two, you still haven't answered the
That's
question.
interesting.
I'm
That's an
trying to.
interesting
Why?
statistic.
Complicated answer.
Black people are only 13% of the population, yet they commit 55% of the murders. Why?
Because black people tend to be in lower economic statuses because of
Okay, no, this is
CRT.
fine. This is great.
Basically,
So you think that poverty equals crime?
I think that it's
Yes, I do.
highly correlated, and
Me
there's a lot of
personally.
studies
This is where
on
we
that.
disagree. What an insult to the working poor
So
of this
why
country.
do you think black people commit more
Well,
crime,
first
Charlie
of all,
Kirk?
so how? Let me ask you a question.
He said, what an insult to the working poor in this country. Wait, hold on. No. Poverty indeed does still equal crime. The fact is that it's just a lot of poor people who still don't commit crime. But that doesn't change the fact that majority of the people that do commit crime are poor. White, black, and everybody, right? Can we just admit that, right? We can admit that, right?
And as
No,
my
answer it. Go on.
What percentage of blacks have a father around when they're raised?
I'm not sure.
20%.
So that's why you
80%
think
of
it is.
blacks do not have
That's
a
true.
stable father around. It is the most predictable way to end up in prison, end up as a murderer or a criminal.
And why
It's
do
not
He's right about that. I'm not gonna lie. He's completely right about that. Fathers definitely bring structure into a home, but also what else do fathers bring though? Guys, I want everybody that's watching this to listen to this, right? Fathers also bring what? Socioeconomic status to the household, right? They bring their income mixed together with the mother's income, or if they bring all of the income. A father in the house just does way more than just culture or just instills values. It also instills, like, he just has money. You give money in the household.
a
You think that's
racism
a problem?
It's not a white supremacy problem.
That's true.
It's a fact that black fathers impregnate women and they don't stay around with the women
And
that they have
why-
impregnated.
Charlie Kirk.
That is true. That is a problem. So, like I said, I think that also factors in with the socioeconomic status argument, right? So I don't understand.
Do you think
Is-
that happens more in the black community compared to others?
It's threefold. Number one, we subsidize
Yes.
single motherhood. Number two, it's culture.
Yes.
It's accepted in the black community, and it
Oh, so
shouldn't
it's
be.
culture. Okay.
Don't take my
I
word
see.
for it. Read Thomas Sowell's own book on how black culture allows single motherhood to continue into a nanny state type practice. 75% of black youth are raised without a father in the home.
Yeah.
75%. Is that a bigger problem or not a bigger problem than whiteness, white privilege, or white supremacy? How
They
can
should
you
all
blame?
be addressed, and they're all related.
Okay, how
The biggest problems that black people have is not racism. To me, it's socioeconomic status and it's education. That's it.
is a white person to blame for the fact that 75% of blacks?
Oh, individual white people aren't at all to blame.
Okay, we agree.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but wouldn't it be more like smarter to be like, hey, that this is not about systemic racism. Like, stop impregnating your women and abandoning them.
Facts.
Um,
But also, though, hold on. Let's backtrack a little bit. Because a couple minutes ago, he definitely said that one of the problems is that we subsidize single motherhood, right? Which is a systematic thing. We have to also be fair to her argument in that sense. Well, I don't even know if she's making an argument. I don't even think she's really making a good argument. I think I'm making her arguments for her and I'm on the right. Like, what the hell? If we actually acknowledge, right, that the subsidizing of single motherhood, the affirmative action, all of that stuff is a problem for society at whole, but specifically for black people, just because of what did Candace Owens say one time? If you guys watch Candace Owens, she said one thing one time that I thought was genius. It's not even her that coined the term, I think, except she said it, so I'm going to give her credit for it. It was the term, I think, called bigotry of low expectation, I believe. So that's an issue, right?
Well, the way to incentivize not impregnating women and abandoning them is increasing access to healthcare, into housing, into everything that we know increases those outcomes for people.
So we have spent $30 trillion on the social welfare system since 1965. Black people are poorer, and the single motherhood went from 25% to now 75 to 80%. So the more money we've spent on Black America, the less fathers we have, because Black women divorced Black men and married the government.
And do you think that's a problem inherent?
This is also, see, where I disagree with Charlie Kirk. I believe no matter what happens, the man should lead. Say a mother of 2 kids was with was with her husband or whatever like that, right? A Black man, Black woman. Mother of 2 kids, the Black woman is a mother of 2 kids. Father of 2 kids, Black man is. Let's say this, right? Let's say the Black man was bringing in, at that time, $500 a week. Let's say the Black woman was bringing in $200 a week or whatever, probably zero even, right? At that time. And let's say that the government came in and said, hey, we're offering these programs. We're offering these programs that will give you $1,500 a week. This is all just hypothetical numbers. Just bear with me, right? $1,500 a week. But if he can't be here, and that man says, wait a second, I can't be here for us to get this $1,500. I think even the man at that time would even agree to tell the mother that, hey, let me just leave. I'm still being a child's life, but let me just leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, even at that time, I think that the father would actually even say that. So do I disagree with what Charlie Kirk is saying? Not entirely, but I also think that it's definitely a little bit more complicated than what he's saying right now. He's just saying things in absolutes, which I don't agree with.
To Black people?
No, it's not. It's happening now in white communities and Hispanic communities. It's just the worst in Black America.
And why do you think that is?
Why is it the worst in Black America? There's also a cultural problem. There is, and we have to be
so
honest
it's
about it.
It's just that Black people are
No, let me ask you a question.
Like
The average music that a Black person in Compton is listening to, is it about contemplating the good, the true, and the beautiful, or is it about being a gangbanger and trying to get as much money and sleep with about as many girls as you can?
I would actually like to think I would be offended by that.
Do you think the average...
I'm going to be honest with you. The average American is listening to rap now, first off. So I don't know if that was entirely a great argument on his part, but I will say that rap music is definitely degenerate. Like, at this point in time, rap music is definitely degenerate and is definitely influencing the culture a lot. Is it influencing people to kill people? Probably not. People are still pussy, right? They're not going to actually kill anybody. But it's definitely putting the battery in the backs of those that probably already would have that capacity to kill people, or probably would go into the gang life, would steal, kill, all of that stuff, drill, all of that. So yeah.
Average Black kid in Compton is listening to Beethoven or some sort of gangster rap music that glorifies gangster culture.
Silly question. Rap wasn't created to glorify gangster culture. So even though there is rap, I'm sure that's doing that.
You're dodging the question because...
Okay, I'm sure they're listening to rap.
Okay.
So you think rap music makes them leave their mom?
Do you think the cultural expectation in Black America is that you stay with the woman that you impregnate?
Within Black communities? I can't speak on that.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. At this point, probably not. The cultural expectation is to definitely at least raise your kids, but stay with the woman that you impregnated? No.
The answer is no, it's not. It's not expected.
Okay, and do you think that
hold on, in white Anglo-Saxon Protestant communities, it's a fact. Hold on. In upper middle class white communities.
Upper middle class, say that part louder.
Yeah, upper middle class white Anglo-Saxon Protestant communities, if you impregnate a woman, you are looked down upon and we do not think highly of you if you abandon the woman that you impregnate. That's a cultural difference. Has nothing to do with money. Has nothing to do with anything except norms. And the norms that have infected Black America are destroying it from within. We need more fathers, not less. We need more dads around and less drag queen story hour. We need more young Blacks to be able to look up to role models that are not leaving all the time and are not just saying, hey, I impregnated her, so be it. It's a toxin, and if we don't address that as the root cause, it's white supremacy, it's injustice, it's economics, we're dancing around the core of the issue.
It is a fact, obviously, that black people disproportionately commit crime in this country. No one's arguing that. But you either believe that that is due to a complex intersection of social, economic, and like leftover effects from previous inequalities, or you believe that that is an inherent trait to the race.
No, I don't.
Yeah, it's
because
not.
they weren't that way in the 1940s and 50s. Black America was one of the most peaceful, flourishing, fastest growing economically communities in the country. It's not genetic. You're trying to point something on me that I don't believe. Instead,
But then
Black
you do
America.
believe that it's
Hold
not
on.
genetic, so you do think CRT is correct.
Hold on a
That's
second.
kind of what
that's
I'm
not.
getting at.
Just because somebody doesn't believe that black people are genetically inferior to white people or any other race doesn't mean that they inherently believe in CRT. That's just goddamn dumb. Let's be honest, right? Come on.
In the 1940s and 1950s, Black America was prosperous and was on pace to be richer and wealthier than white America. More dads were staying with
Wow.
the women that they were with. There was monogamy. What changed?
You're
What-
supporting my argument.
No, hold on.
What changed? Do you guys know what changed? Guess what changed? White people put their goddamn necks out for black people. I'm playing. No. Do you guys seriously know what changed? I would say, and I genuinely mean this, that after being subjugated by white people for so long, black people did not know what to do with themselves. And that's honest. I think that we should be honest about that, right? But at this point, it's time to goddamn catch up, right?
Hold on, but answer the question. What changed? Did America get more racist since the 1950s?
I would argue there were more racist policies passed. There were more
Hold on a
policies
second.
dedicated
In
to
the
lining
in the
off those communities
1950s,
and pushing them into poor housing and poor schools.
Wait a second. In the 1950s, Jackie Robinson had not even broken the color barrier. We had Jim Crow laws. We hadn't passed the Civil Rights Act, and we hadn't passed the Voting Rights Act. Yet blacks were better in the 1950s per capita than they are today. So we have become less racist. We've passed more anti-racist laws and given more stuff, and blacks are worse than they were 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Why?
So you're
So, in order to understand this, let's get a bit deeper, right? Let's get a bit more philosophical. This isn't even about color, but let's just say black people because that's what we're talking about, right? So, say that when you were first born, when you were first coming up, you were in a culture. This is whole generations, by the way. They were in a culture to where they had to be in a specific guideline, and that's all they had to do. Like they had to like walk in that specific line. And if they did that, they would flourish, right? Now say that out of nowhere, you don't have to walk in the line anymore. You have to go through a whole bunch of different, vortexes, lines, and all of that stuff. You can actually do whatever you want now. You have infinite options to do anything. Wouldn't anybody be lost? I believe that. Personally, white, black, anybody, you would be lost if you had this one thing that you had to do, this one choice you had to make, and now you have an infinite amount of choices that you have to make in order to survive. Because you had to, just like a kid, right? When they first grow up, they're lost because they had, the parents and all of that stuff. They had guidelines, and now they don't. They can do whatever they want. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to just do that homework. You have to choose whatever you want to do. The same thing with this. To me personally, that's the same thing. But with that being said, my name is Jay Dottie. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Peace.